We start with the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice. Members of the public are encouraged to comment during this time regarding items not listed on the agenda. The chair will seek public comments on agenda items as they occur. By law, the board cannot take action on matters discussed during the public comment portion of the meeting, but may include a matter raised during this time on a future agenda. The board would like to remind everyone to avoid commenting on private personnel matters, private student matters, and pending legal matters. Do we have any guest comments for items not listed as an action item? Okay, moving on. Action item A, consideration and possible action of processing 1700 complaints. So we are dealing with our policy 1700. At level 1, we asked conflict resolution to occur informally. And if level 1 does not work, then we ask to move on to level 2. Level 2, we ask for a written complaint to be submitted. If that complaint alleges violation of district policy and procedures, 1700 states the administrator will investigate and attempt to resolve the complaint. In regards to a 1700 complaint received by the district, the board is aware and it's confidential to protect the privacy rights of individuals. This complaint alleges a conflict of interest in having Dr. Marshall conduct the investigation. For that reason, the board needs to decide how to proceed with processing 1700 complaints. So basically, we need to decide who's going to do the investigation. One option, of course, is the Montana School Board Association. As far as another option, I was kind of having a hard time coming up with the viable option. Any staff member that I thought of, I would think they would not have had proper training. And in essence, they'd be reviewing fellow staff members and potentially their boss, so.
When something like this has come up in the past, we have looked at consulting with outside law firms. Just the processing of the documentation or investigation. There are local agencies that handle this. I can't remember which ones we looked at, but I think MGSBA would probably be our best bet. I think at that time, MGSBA was backlogged and was not willing to get. I remember my memory serves right.
I did ask them about availability in case the board did choose to go that direction. They could begin investigating next week, and their rough estimate is that, very rough estimate is that it could take 3 weeks. Any other thought from the board? Who can conduct the investigation? It was hard and small worlds.
What'd you say couldn't be made? Oh, I just think it's hard in a small rural school like this to have somebody internally able to.
Yeah, that's what we come to in the past.
Yeah.
Basically, we can't have anybody internally do it. In a larger district, if you have, I mean, there has been other schools that have had principals and or superintendents from other schools come in and do it. That's been an option, but again, that's still at a cost, just like hiring a law firm, a fairly substantial cost.
Where did these funds come from in the budget?
So we have what's called a flex fund, that we have been saving over the year. We have about $5,400 in there. And then we also get, interest with all of our different funds. And so our biggest one is our miscellaneous fund, because all of our federal funds go in there. And your interest from any of those funds can be spent on whatever you want. And so we have 11,000 in interest, and that's our miscellaneous fund, not our general fund. So, I mean, I'll probably be pulling it out of, if we do this out of flex, out of interest, anything to say the general fund. So.
Well, I'll make a motion that we have MTSBA move forward if they're willing.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So now we're gonna move on to action item B, consideration and possible action for placing employees on administrative leave with pay pending 1700 complaint process. I would just like to point out, we are not discussing the allegations or merits of the complaint at this time. We are discussing administrative leave with pay. Leave is not to be viewed as disciplinary. It would allow the district to have the complaint investigated fully without possible claims of interference or retribution. It would also give the district time to determine appropriate actions or remedies once this investigation is concluded. Do we have any comments before the board discusses?
You sure do.
Yeah, please. If you don't want to state your name.
My name is Kyle Lynch. I have 2 children that are commonly in the after-school program. I am aware that just for this evening, without these 2 ladies, no one was able to find somebody to cover from 4:30 to 5:45 for the after-school program. And my worry is if the board decides to place them on administrative leave, then it will put, 30 families or so in a tight spot without after-school care. We rely on these ladies pretty heavily every day for our kids, to take care of our kids, and they're pretty great at it.
Sharon, do you have the number of how many families are enrolled?
Enroll. You've got probably 60–70% on a daily basis.
It's a significant.
It's significant. On a daily, I can go monthly, weekly. Weekly, they, see about anywhere between 100 and 120 kids. Yes, every day. Yeah, that's why there's 2 of them, is because there's that many kids in there that rely on the program. The program is self-funded. So it's totally run by parent support unless there's been exceptions, but that's how it operates.
So can I make a comment? My name is Jenna Ash. I have a kid, he comes here. We are new here to Kyla and everything, and, so I have greatly appreciated their help and everything that they have done. And when I have had my son in other after-school programs and care, if there's a problem, the daycare or the childcare system doesn't get shut down because of that one problem. That one problem can leave if they're not happy with how their kid is in that situation, and they keep their kid in another situation. And I mean, it's been that way for almost every single daycare and every single school program that I have been around. That has been, they don't shut down the whole thing and ruin it for so many other families. It's up to that parent to decide what they think is best for their kid, and if they don't like it, then they can take their kids somewhere else. And I feel like a lot of families would kind of be in a lot of trouble right now if these 2 women. I mean, they do a great job. I kind of hung out a little bit, and I got to see them interact with the kids, and they have done an amazing job from what I see. And for the different age groups that they have to deal with and how many, it's not like they just have one classroom of this age of kids. They have to direct all ages. I mean, and they don't get an itinerary. They don't get to, it's okay, my kid has to be there, and guess what? They're there for their kid, the kid. And if someone's gonna be late, they're there. So I think they've done an amazing job, and I don't think it would be very fair for them or all the other families and the kids, because the kids have grown to know these women as well. And I know my son just loves them. He loves them. So, and I'm comfortable with leaving my kid with them. because that is huge to me because he's safe. And I know they're gonna pay attention, and they do. So,
Thank you. Any other comments?
How long would we be gone? Or would we even come back?
So paid administrative leave would be for the extent of the investigation and also the time we would need to make a determination regarding the findings.
I guess I'm sorry, I don't understand the investigation for possibly just one person and spending all this money on this one. I just don't understand. The person has that favorite problem, they can find their kid another place to go.
And I don't understand why we can't have a copy of the allegations against us. I don't understand why we've never been given those, or we've never been said anything. And I don't understand why we can't have a copy of it. So we know what we're against.
Well, I guess then you guys can know what you're doing wrong, if you're doing something
Exactly.
wrong.
We want to know what we've done wrong.
If they don't know what they're doing wrong, how can they fix it?
Sure, so I am comfortable saying 1,700, policy 1,700 would place our file with the district. And it is to the districts to investigate.
Mhm.
So therefore, we can't get anything
But we
about
don't have
what's
to
been
place our file.
alleged.
So that's how we have policy and that's, yes.
So you can't give us anything then.
That's, if I understand this whole thing correctly, was it formal meeting that occurred?
Yeah, yes, we did have a meeting.
Right, and so that was. the-
And we were gonna have 2 weeks, right? It was 2 weeks to a month.
Well, we won't be discussing the merits, we just, so at this time, are there any, we can't really have a back and forth exchange, are there any other comments?
I'd like to just one more time.
No, go ahead.
So again, my name's Kyle Knight. So my mother started this program over 30 years ago, the after school program, because, and I discussed it with her again last night because I was curious, because, you know, I was a child at that point. And she started this program with the support of the school and the school board because there was no one watching the kids after school. They were just lined up outside till 5:30, 6 o'clock waiting for parents to show up. And it was the middle of winter, 10 degrees outside, and she thought that was unacceptable. So she took the time and the effort out of her own time and her own day to start that program here. And again, it's totally self-funded. It was then at least. And it was a lot of effort to get that off the ground and get it moving and actually get the parents engaged and get things moving. And I know from that standpoint what it takes for this program and the effort that these ladies go through to keep it running. And what they go through on a daily basis, not just to take care of these kids, but they don't get paid a lot to do this. They don't. In my opinion, they do it out of the kindness of their heart and love of the kids. There are other things out there they do to make more money. And I'm startled that something like this came up without, you know, informal resolution. Again, I don't know exactly what the issue is. I don't know what 1,700 actually pertains to. But it's obviously become a big issue if it's being brought for the board and requires outside engagement in order to investigate this. But it's just where I stand, it's odd. These ladies are great. My kids love them. We've never had an issue with them. And they work hard to try to wrangle a lot of kids every day after school. Keep them busy, keep them engaged, keep them happy. So. And they actually get my kids to do their homework, which is fantastic.
I just want to say that I've worked with these ladies in the past, years, and I feel the same way. I think they're here out of the kindness of their heart. They care deeply about the kids. And they've been here so long, I'm not understanding either the whole thing, why this is happening, and I really do care deeply about them, and I've watched them as well, and they do take care of our students. I mean, they do have large groups, and I feel like if we took this away, we're going to have families like you see here upset. I'm here to.
Thank you.
Okay, so for the board to discuss, what we are discussing is administrative leave with pay. Again, leave is not disciplinary, leave allows the district to investigate the complaint fully without claims of interference or retribution, and it gives the district time to determine appropriate action and remedies once the investigation is completed.
So if we're bringing in an outside entity to do this, there won't be any potential conflict of interest here during the investigation.
It's not a conflict of interest, it's
I guess I need to fully understand why the program can't go on while the investigation goes on. Because I personally was a parent who used the program. I desperately needed it, and I would have been in a very dire situation had that not been available.
So from my perspective, this is my family's first year using it. My wife has a very desk-type job until sometimes 6 o'clock at night. If you don't have a program, I can't work past 2 o'clock. Or, no, realistically 2 o'clock. Because I wear a smartphone out in the county sometimes. And I have to be cleaned up and off the job site on the road so I can get there. I guess from an administrative standpoint, do we have someone that could take over the program temporarily?
We would have to ask staff members.
So if we say we did vote to suspend with pay tonight, there is no after school program tomorrow. 21 hours notice to families. 60 or 70% of which could feasibly be using this program depending on it. Including mine, because my wife is in Dallas right now, done at 2 o'clock tomorrow.
Well, some people can't be done it too.
And that's the problem,
I
so
mean, we
where
lose
does
our
this leave?
jobs.
Right, where does this leave?
I mean, it might not be disciplinary to them but it will put families possibly out of a job because they have to go take care of their kids. And so then families will be losing their job.
So should we choose to keep them here? Well, MTSBA, Montana School Board, will they do the investigation with them here?
yeah, it's just fully up to us.
So we have two options. Yep. We have one option is to not continue school, the after school program, and put them on paid administrative leave. And continue the investigation, or our second vote can be that we continue with the after school program and allow them to do their investigation. So do we want to do a motion for both, or do we want
We
to,
already motioned to have MTSBA do the.
for this though?
So
Do we want to have two?
So it's just paid leave or not. paid leave.
Right. So are you doing two different motions though? Because if all of us are going to, if it's not unanimous, that somebody. If it's not a unanimous vote, are we voting, yes, they're doing paid administrative leave, or no, they're not? Or do you want, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Let me just for each person. If you have a majority on your first vote, then that's the decision. If you have the majority. If you don't have. Yeah, then you can do the motion for the other option.
Okay. So, I can make the motion.
Is there any more discussion?
I personally would be voting to have them continue the after-school program while the investigation goes on. I don't know.
Pretty firmly in that camp as well, and not just for my situation, for the 60 or 70% of other families in the community that depend on it. And the public comments that we've had today kind of reflect, I think, how the community feels about the program.
Yeah, I also apparently greatly appreciated and utilized the services and care provided by you folks. And I agree with all the comments already made. And just want to communicate that we're just trying to do our best to follow all the procedures. And
There's a lot of landmines.
there's a lot of land, yes, and we're trying to avoid all of those for the sake of everyone.
Right.
So just so you guys understand that. I think you do, but it's me, please.
We're trying. It's hard to be accused of something and not know exactly what you're being accused of. Do they not?
I just looked up, but I was typing, I was looking up, and you will be given, depending on how this unfolds, and I obviously, about the legal background is filling all the details, but you are required to be given written conference at some point in the process, and with enough time to establish a defense. So that I did look up, because I agreed with your critique there, and I didn't know the answer to that, so I quickly wanted to try to find something. Yeah, yeah.
Can I ask a pointed question of Nancy and Cleo?
Not at this time, but you're welcome to just pass the board meeting. Apologies for the public comment.
Is
It's
over?
not allowed for back and forth.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
But here, just one more thing, I think that. By not placing on administrative leave, which as you know is not punitive, I don't think we should, but by not placing on administrative leave. The only downside is perceived impropriety in the investigative process. And that is a risk for the district from a legal standpoint. It is a risk I am willing to take as a voting member of this community, but just so everybody knows it is a risk. So, and I'm not even saying it's a justifiable risk. It's just from a legally standpoint, it's a risk.
Conrad, do we need to get a lawyer or something like?
No, I don't believe so. I mean, don't take that as. I don't know. I shouldn't say no. I don't. You need to investigate that yourself. I can't really give you that advice.
Oh, okay,
Talk to me after me.
okay.
So by employee starting with you. Can I get a motion to not put her on paid administrative leave while an investigation is occurring regarding the policy 1700?
But keep employed.
I will make a motion not to place the on paid administration.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Any wording, the same motion, person, or. Hold it. All in motion.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll say.
All in favor?
Aye.